Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
With Robb Flynn.
What up? What up? What up, podcast party people? How you doing? How you living? My voice feels a little... It's got a high timbre to it. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that at all. Maybe it's because I just had an awesome conversation. I don't know. Maybe I just need to talk a little bit fuller like this. Get my Ron Burgundy voice on. Ron Burgundy. You're a dirty pirate, hooker. Just watched that the other day. I watched, I was alone, and I was kicking it. Wife and kids were out of town. I watched Mortal Kombat, the movie, which was good. Mindless, action-packed, fucking karate kung fu shit. It was really good. And then right at the right as that ended, went right into Anchorman. And I was like, oh, I was getting ready to go to bed. I was like, I'm tired. I was like, fuck it. I got to stay up and watch this. Fuck, that movie's funny. God damn, that movie is funny. It's really funny. You have bad hair. What? What did you say? So many just... He jumps into the pit to save her from the pit. Right now, I really regret making this decision. So I proceeded to talk to my kids in Ron Burgundy voice for the next day, and almost in its entirety, because my youngest son Wyatt kept on mumbling. He's got a deep voice like me. He's like, I'm like, what? What did you say? What are you even saying? What? I can't. Dad, do I need to talk louder? Yes, you need to talk. No, you need to talk clearer, like Ron Burgundy. Talk like this to me, or I'm not going to understand you. So I proceeded to talk for like the next hour and a half. I stayed in Ron Burgundy character. Oh, they were so annoyed. It was so fucking great. I was like, this is the shit that I live for, to annoy my teenage sons. Yeah, that's right. Little teenagers. Looks like my oldest might be getting a girlfriend. Maybe not. I don't want to jinx it. But it looks like it's going somewhere. I'm kind of happy for him. Let's see. Yesterday was the 35th anniversary of the day that Cliff Burton of Metallica passed away. And I put a thing up on my Instagram. I put a clip up of Metallica at the Day on the Green Ride the Lightning tour, August 31st, 1985. I was in the audience. And I put a clip. You can't see me in the audience. I can't even see me in the audience. It's just a seething mass of humanity going crazy in front of Metallica. And the bill was some band called Victory that I'd never, ever heard of before or since. Victory, Yngwie Malmsteen, who was actually really good. I loved Yngwie, and I still love Yngwie. Those early records are fantastic. Metallica. And then it went Y&T, Rat, and then the Scorpions. And there might have been some other band in there too. But let me tell you, fucking Metallica just ate everybody's breakfast. I mean, just fucking destroyed everybody. And granted, that's the only band that I was really... I mean, I liked a couple of Rat songs. I did like Old Y&T a lot, but this was like... All I remember is watching them do Summertime Girls, and I was like, ugh, Summertime Summertime Girls. I was already into thrash at this point. Ride the Lightning was out. Fucking bring the heavy, man. I want to hear Black Tiger. I want to hear Rescue Me. I remember Scorpions being good. I remember liking Scorpions. I always liked the Scorpions. But I was like, it was a crazy night. I went with my friend Sean Blackwell, and we fucking stayed up all night drinking. We're like, we're going to Metallica tomorrow. Fuck yeah. We got a bunch of speed. We did a bunch of speed, and then we were saving some of our speed to go. I think we only got like an hour or two of sleep. Woke up, started drinking some more beers, go in, and we were like, we each had like a very small bag of speed, like not even a gram, like a quarter. And as we got closer to the thing, we saw security. We're like, fuck. We can't bring this. We're going to get in trouble if we bring this speed in. So we both took we had cut up straws to, they're like, they're searching everybody. They're going to find it. So we freaked out. We fucking stuck the straw in a little bag of speed and did the whole fucking quarter at once up one nostril. Oh my God. I was so wired going into the fucking show. And right as we were getting there, Victory was ending. Yngwie went on, and then we were like, all right, let's go up front for Metallica. This is August in the Bay Area. It was fucking hot. So we go up there, we fucking, powering our way through the crowd, and we get up, and we're trying to get in front of James, but we can't because it's just so fucking packed, and we end up in front of Cliff. And Cliff was just on fire this day. Like, fucking just raging animal. A manimal. Fucking raging lunatic up there. And dude, he banged the whole show non-fucking stop, just banging like a fucking maniac. And God, it was so fucking hot. It was so packed and just suffocating. It was doing that thing where, like, when the crowd gets really super tight together and then people start leaning to the left, and it's like a domino effect, and like you're kind of trapped and you can't. It was kind of scary at times. And but it was a fucking great show. They killed it. And then by the rest of the show was just kind of like in a daze. Like we were probably dehydrated. We're coming down. 6 hours later we start coming down from all the speed, and we're like, oh my God, we're hungover now. Like fucking didn't get any sleep. Drank all night the night before. We're just like ran out of drugs. So, but we stayed till the end. I remember watching the Scorps and kind of just being like haggard as fuck, staring at Scorps like, whoa, dude, they're pretty good. But Metallica, and yesterday was the anniversary of his passing, and so I felt like sharing that story, kind of I put that up on the Instagram, got a lot of comments and a lot of views, and it's a cool thing. I talked about how I was lucky enough to see Cliff two more times after that. I got to see them at the San Francisco Civic on New Year's Eve, which was Metallica headlining, Exodus, Megadeth second, and Metal Church opening. And then I posted that, and Scott Ian from Anthrax texted me. He was like, dude, Anthrax was supposed to be on that show. He's like, I've got some flyers of us on the bill, and then they couldn't make it because of money or something like that. And I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. I never heard that. So then he sent me the flyer, and I was like, oh dang. I was like, dude. I think I got it. I still got it here. I'll stick it up. Maybe I'll just have my guy stick it up. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to show it to you, but he's actually going to just put it up. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Metallica, Exodus, Anthrax, Metal Church. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. It's all backwards for you. But yeah, Scott Ian, Anthrax was going to be on that bill. I was like, that's wild. And then I got to see them. They were great that night. They actually debuted. It was the live debut of Master of Puppets and Disposable Heroes. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like Master of Puppets when I first heard it. And I was like, too slow. Too slow. Where's the... I wanted thrash. And it wasn't thrash, though Disposable Heroes was pretty thrashy. So I was like, all right, that's good. But, this is January. Yeah, this is December 31st, 85 into 1986. Master of Puppets isn't even coming out for 3 months. And I'm like, it's not very good. An album that would go on to rule my world and, change the fucking world. But, First time hearing it live on speed and booze and kind of out of it. I was like, not fast enough. Too slow. And then I got to see, but they killed it. Other than that, I'm saying I wasn't impressed with those 2 songs, but the rest of the show was fucking awesome. I think they even I think Hetfield threw the mic. Oh my! I remember he changed the fucking lyrics to whiplash to dick rash. He kept on saying dick rash. I thought that was hella funny. I was fucking dying, and then if I remember this correctly, he threw a microphone, like one of those heavy weighted microphones, into the audience that night. And I think they had to somebody had to go to the hospital. They had to go and meet them. And like, it was some big kind of, I remember that was the rumors going around at school. So, yeah. Or wherever the rumors were going around. I can't remember where I heard it, but I just heard that. And then the last time I got to see Cliff was, when they opened for Ozzy. And unfortunately, I missed most of the show. I missed like the first half of the show because really long lines to get in. Everybody was trying to get in to go see Metallica, and it was just fucking chaos. But I did catch it, and it was cool. And it was cool to see them in an arena. You know, the first time I saw Metallica was at the Keystone Berkeley in Berkeley, to about 250 people, opening for Raven. The band Raven. It was on the Kill 'Em All for One tour. Kill 'Em All was Metallica's album. All for One was Raven's album. Kill 'Em All for One. And yeah, it was awesome. Exodus opening. One of my very first thrash shows. It was fucking rad. You know, to 250 people, and you know, not even sold out. Like 500 cap club probably. And yeah, it's pretty wild. And Cliff was a beast then. I just remember Cliff was a fucking beast. And James Hetfield was wearing a shirt that said, Ronald 6, Wilson 6, Reagan 6. And it had an upside down cross on it. And I was like, yeah, Ronald Reagan's the devil. Yeah. Anyway, it was the passing of Cliff. And, you know, I got to see him more than a handful of times. And I feel very fortunate to have witnessed that. And, you know, whenever I think about that day, it's kind of crazy. And you know, we actually drove on the we drive the road. Whenever you drive from Sweden to Denmark, you got to actually drive on the road that the accident happened on. And there's a little grave marker there at some point, and we stopped at like 5 a.m. at one point. We were like, hey, you know, like told the bus driver to pull over. And I remember me and Adam, my bass player, we went and sat there, kind of just thought about stuff. I think we left our laminates on top of there. People leave gifts. They have Jack Daniels bottles and, you know, shit like that. But, you know, just think about it. You know, it's crazy that he was only in Metallica for 3 years, from March 1983 to September 1986. And if you think about the musical output, I think Master of Puppets was recorded in December or November of 85. So really from 83 to 85 is when all of that amazing music and all that, you know, Kill 'Em All into fucking Ride the Lightning into Master of Puppets, and just fucking, I mean, a lifetime worth of music in 3 years. It's fucking wild. It's wild. 3 years. It's crazy to think that the first 7 Metallica, or the first 5 Metallica albums happened in 7 years, 83 to 90 to the Black Album, Kill 'Em All to the Black Album. 7 years. 5 albums that, you know, defined a fucking genre and an era. It's wild. Yeah. But there you go. That was yesterday. So I put up the post. What else do I got to talk about? National Sons. Today's National Sons Day. And then yesterday was National Daughters Day. And I think, you know, a couple of weeks before that was National Cats Day and National Dogs Day and National Hot Dog Day and National, oh my God, like I'm so fucking, I don't even know who comes up with these dumb fucking days. I'm so fucking sick of it. some dumb thing for some fucking internet. Oh my God. I was like, I don't need a day to fucking post a picture of my sons. Fucking Christ. Are you sick of it? I'm sick of it. Fucking done with the... Stop telling me what day to post shit on. You like lion? It's National Lions Day. It's National Elephants. And there was a National Hot Dog. I was like, Hot Dog Day? Who the fuck thought of that? Who the hot dog makers of America get together and be like, we're getting fucked here, man. We need our own day. Yeah, I need a National Machine Head Day. If you're getting Hot Dog Day, I want a National Machine fucking Head Day. Although the UK has the best day, which is National Steak and Blowjob Day. I was like, and that's a fucking real thing. Tell America, where you at? Why ain't you got that, America? The fuck? National Steak and Blowjob Day sounds wonderful. I'll throw all those other ones away. Let's get that day going. That's the only day that we need to get. You know, I was wiping my butt today, and I use like a paper. So I wipe my butt with toilet paper, and I fold it into like about 3. We get some pretty, we get Charmin, so it's like double ply and doesn't shred up like some of those cheaper ones. Like tour toilet paper. When you're on tour and you fucking pull into the bathroom at the fucking club and they hold it up and you can see through the shit. See through the fucking toilet paper. It's so thin. No, I get some pretty good shit. And but then I wipe until it gets pretty clean. And then I used to use the butt wipes, or they got dude wipes now. Like that's like a brand, Dude Wipes. Not that I'm plugging them, but I just use the paper towel, and then I just go and I get up when I'm done, wet paper towel, and then I come back and I do it, and then I stick it in the garbage can, which I have a garbage can next to my toilet. And I was like, I'm always amazed. Like I feel like I'm done wiping my ass with the toilet paper, but like so much more comes off when you use that wet paper towel or the dude wipe, the butt wipe. I'm like, what the fuck did we do before butt wipes? We were just walking around with some dirty asses. Fuck. Now, I mean, granted, this is from a dude who once went 19 days on tour without taking a shower. So, like I can handle it, but Jesus. I was like, there's so much comes off. So much more that you didn't get with the toilet paper. That's what the wet wipe or the wet paper towel gets. Just figured I'd talk about that. Did you notice that? Have you ever noticed that? It kind of blows my mind every time. I don't know why. I guess I'm easily impressed, but it blows my mind every time. Anyway, I had a fantastic conversation with one of my favorite singer/punk rock bands of all time. This was a really cool interview for me. Like, I gotta say, I'm super fucking stoked that this happened. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Mo Rat. Mo Rat made this happen. He used to write for Kerrang and Metal Hammer. He's an awesome dude. He kind of hooked this all up. And there's some stories about, I love all their records, but I really love this one record called Feel the Darkness. And dude, just hearing this motherfucker tell me the stories for those songs, I was like, holy shit. Fucking. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm going to play some Poison Idea for you right now. If you've never heard Poison Idea, motherfucker, if you've never heard, you need to listen to Poison Idea, right? You need to stop this podcast. Actually, you know what? Don't stop the podcast. Just fucking listen to these songs, and then when you're done with the podcast, go and listen to fucking Poison Idea. This right here is a track off of Kings of Punk, their first proper album. This is Lifestyles. You ever in a discharge? This is Ugly American.
I once knew a Jack who looked like a Jill.
Look at this. Bears are great. Bears are so fucking good in this song. This is Made to Be Broken. This is the best. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fucking timeless right there. Makes me laugh every time I fucking hear it. There we go. Yeah. This is Machine Head covered this song. Alan's on Fire. I could play every song on this album for you right now. This song right here, though, Welcome to Krell. 3 days wide awake, going on 4. With the new store. So fucking good. I'll never do another line of Krell, but I don't believe in God. I swear sometimes that I'll just do a dime. It's about staying up for too many days on Krell. This song right here, though. Feel the darkness right here. Dude.
You mean a man?
Gonna make your dreams come true.
From the fire
into the water.
the cold night time
but you ended with less. Feel the darkness. You started with nothing, but you ended with less. I can play this whole record, but I'm not. I'm going to end it with this one. Because this is like the fucking jam right here. It's like the one sliver of hope on this record. This song's called Just to Get Away. Opening line so good. Quit my job. Tell my boss to get out of the way. Grab my girl, grab my gun. Quit my job. Grab my gun. I fit the blues and play. Grab my girl. She's 16 and she's really special. I can't slow down. I gotta stay with the demo. 200 miles an hour. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, right here. I'll start with this one. This will be the better. This is the opening of the record, Plastic Bomb. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the mighty Jerry A. Poison Idea. Jerry A.
Hey, Rob.
How you doing, man?
I'm here. Doing great.
Is this the first time we've met?
In person? Or in video?
Yeah,
no,
online.
We've met each other on the roads before.
Right. Oh, right. I think I remember we played a festival together, I think, at some point.
Mm-hmm. And I've saw you in the Bay Area once before someplace.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing good. Living in the chaos and loving every minute of it.
Are you in Portland?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been kind of wild up there, huh?
Yeah. Well, Tom from Turbo Negro was up here last week. He's a journalist in Norway now, and he was here. He works like at a Vice, like Norwegian Vice type thing.
Oh, okay.
And he was up here documenting the inevitable civil war of America. And I was, he interviewed a bunch of people and talked to me, and I was just like, people kind of blow it out of proportion. It's like, of course, it's fucked up, but it's not as bad as, it's not like the Norwegian journalists come over to catch, the fall of the empire.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So that's where he chose to come from, was to Portland, Oregon, to see it with his own eyes.
Document the Proud Boys fighting the whatever.
Yeah, all
Black
15
Bloc or
of
whatever
them.
there.
All
Yes.
15 of them.
Yeah. The media makes it seem like a lot bigger, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean, if you cruise into downtown Portland, it's not going to be anarchy and chaos and
no, you see the giant trucks with their Trump flags and stuff, but you see that everywhere. That's in most liberal places of the United States. And you see the Antifa people and that too. But that's just, I was telling Tom, I said, I fucking bought an Antifa t-shirt in Berlin like 25 years ago, because it's like what it means. It's like, then it was like anti-fascist. It's like if you're a Nazi or if you're not. And I thought anybody with any common sense and brains would go, well, of course, I'm not, we've fought against those cats in, World War II. I'm not a,
right. Right.
So that's like I said, it was just common sense. But now it's like, I don't know, they co-opted it and made it, I don't know, they start, you know what, I don't understand it, so I can't explain it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know what they're,
I was listening to an interview that I think you did it fairly recently. It was like Radio Valencia or something like that. And you were like, let's start off with some small talk. That's how you open the thing, and the guy was just like, okay. Like, went into some small talk. You want to go into some small talk?
Sure.
Is that is that a favorite thing of yours, to start an interview with small talk, just to like get to know somebody?
Well, you know what? I enjoy small talk, but after it's just, I don't know. My wife says that I don't like small talk, and I don't like to stand in line at the bank and talk about weather to people. It's like, well, what do you think about what do you think about those trailblazers? And I'm like, I don't think about them. The weather, I can think about it until my head explodes and it's gonna do what it does. But yeah. But then again, I don't like to sit around and philosophize about fucking it is what it is, and that's just the way, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And especially now with like, small talk and what we started off talking about, it's everybody has their opinions, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, so, but that's what makes this country so great. We can all get together and argue about our opinions until we pass out. Yeah.
I was refreshing on the lyrics to Ugly American last night, which is a song I've known forever. And, but just I was actually reading the lyrics for the first time. I don't know why. I just knew them from hearing the song. And you could write those lyrics today. Like
Yeah.
every, like word for fucking word, you could write that song today.
Yeah. It's scary. It's scary, Yeah, all that stuff. It's like, when you're a kid, you write about what you know, and that stuff comes around to haunt. It's scary.
Yeah. It's just amazing that was 88, 88, 87 when you wrote those lyrics.
Yeah, and I wrote it about like a small group of people that were, an eyesore, and they lived in my apartment building or whatever, but I didn't think it would get so now it's like, your neighbors down the street, and like I said, the division with this country and stuff is just, yeah, it's crazy. It's I got a friend who throws the bones and reads the stars and burns the tea leaves and all that stuff, and he went to college to do this stuff, and he's really into it. And I'm like, well, if you're a fortune teller, didn't you see this shit coming? Couldn't you have like warned me before, like, January 6th to let me know? And he's like, well, we all knew. He's like, me and all my my circle of, my coven, we all knew it was happening. But he said it's going to be getting the waters are going to be very, you know crazy for the next 2 years. And I'm like, well, what is, sure, I could have told you that, but what's going to be like, the handmaiden's tale, we're going to start hanging people. And then it's like, oh, you know what, let's stop hanging people. And then, if you give somebody a plate of shit forever, when you stop giving them shit, there's like, thank you for not giving me shit. It's like, what about something else? Well, at least I'm not getting shit,
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It's strange times. I'm happy to be here.
It is. Are you what have you been up to lately? I know you guys kind of, I mean, there was the rumors that you did your last show, and it's the permanent final show back in September 2019, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of wanted to take a break for a long time, and when I saw you in Europe, it was 5 years ago, 5 years ago. We were, we were all going through different things. Like I said, the songs kind of predicted the future. And if you write about that stuff, if you write about the darkness and you dabble in it and keep opening the door and looking in, eventually it's gonna like grab you and suck you in there. You can only like fuck with that stuff so long before you finally get engulfed by it. And that's what, we played around with, nihilism and drug abuse and shit like that, and eventually it just sucks you up. And then one day you wake up in a squat, and your family doesn't talk to you, and that kind of, that's your life. And all your best friends are dead and stuff. And so when we were playing in the band, we were kind of just going through the motions, just so we could stay high for that day and just go on to the next day. And then once I kind of snapped out of it, I felt really bad about doing that to people who liked the band. And I said, you know what, I'm going to get my shit together, take a shower, and I'm gonna get these people. You can do whatever you want, but no, no hard drugs, no, just be responsible. I want to play for like 1 year, every day as much as I can. Tell, kind of atone, kind of tell people that, and just go out there and kick ass for 1 year straight, and then just hang up my boots. And that's what we did. We went and we played. I mean, went to Japan, went to Europe, did the United States, and we played. All the shows were great. And then we just, we went out on a high note and just said that's it. And that's what we did. We kept our promises, and we did it. And so, I've been jamming with a lot of other people. There's always, I got some friends on the East Coast that are doing kind of experimental stuff. I've been playing with a rock band from Belgium called Crime Scene. It's pretty old school rock and
Cool.
yeah, and just doing a bunch of stuff. I wrote a book.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool. Like a
yeah,
autobiography?
yeah. And it's all, you know what? I got like it's three volumes because it's so long. I wrote it, and
Mhm.
the guy said it's like way too long. And I said, well, can't you cut it down? And they were like, well, there's no fat to trim. It's all good stuff. So they go, we're going to release it in 3 volume set, like in a box set,
Wow.
and it's called Blackheart Fades Blue. That's the name of it.
Rad.
And there's the first one
Dude,
with
that's
a
killer.
Happy Jerry,
Yeah.
young Happy Jerry. Then there's the second one,
Nice.
and you can see a little.
Is that a heroin needle? Is that a needle on the side
Yeah,
there?
yeah. There's that one, and then it goes to where I find Jah.
Yeah.
I climb the mountain and find Jah Rastafari and become one.
Yeah. That's you do look good. You gotta say you do look really good, man. I mean, like you look healthy and you lost a lot of weight. I mean, there was a couple of somewhere back I don't know how many years back, but Jesus, you were really big.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I that brought on like diabetes, adult onset diabetes, and I started losing like parts of my body, like being amputated. And I was in the
wow.
hospital, and they were
Why'd you
like,
have amputated?
some toes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and my bones got infected. I had gangrene, and they made me sign these waivers to like, we're going to take it off at the knee. Then they're like,
Wow.
well, we're going to take it off at the hip. And then they made me sign a waiver like, if you don't wake up, it's like you can't
Fuck.
really. And so I was like, you know what, this is getting kind of fucked now. I had time to get my shit together and stuff like that. Like I said, when you wake up and everything. So that's what did it. It's like a yeah. Instead of having like cold water thrown in your face, it was like being waterboarded with cold water. And you're just like, yeah, fuck this.
Fuck.
Yeah,
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
yeah. But it's like I didn't. I'm not like some like I still I still party. I still have my glass of wine every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. I mean, if you got it under control, you've got it under control, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. I just figure as long as you're not under a bridge with a needle in your neck, you're sober.
Yeah. Oof. And
Yeah.
I know, like the people I used to hang around did it. They'd put it in their fingers if they wanted to hide it. Like they'd do it between their toes so
Yeah.
that no one could see the mark right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote in this book, I wrote about this kid I know in Portland who he was my friend, and he kept doing it, and I got sober. This is a couple years ago, and I wrote about him in the book. And he called me in the hospital. He was up there, and he's like, "Yeah, I got like a day to live." Um, they he had his legs were so bad, so like fucked up and rotten away that these abscesses. They were giving him blood transfusions, and it wouldn't clot. It would just go straight out. It was just running straight out, and his kidneys shut down, his liver shut down.
Jesus.
And I went up there and I was talking to the doctor, and I was like, can you? I took him in the hall. I go, can you like cut his legs off or something to make this stop? And he goes, man, his body's like it's shut down. He goes, this guy's so gone. He goes, did you see his girlfriend in the hall? And I go, yeah, and she had like bruises like all. And he goes, she's right behind him. She's next. She goes, if you know her, you should talk to her and tell her to. And I was, it's like you can only do what you can do. I can't try to put work in to save anybody. And I was just like, you got to take care of yourself because he's gone, and he pretty much right there he just passed. So but it was his choice. You can do whatever you want to do in life. You can do it, but just got to take responsibility for it.
Yeah. That's rough, man.
Yeah, I could walk outside and start throwing grenades at people, and if I want to do that's fine. But I have to fucking man up and take my beating and go to prison for doing it. But I would never do that. But
Did you talk to the girl?
yeah,
I mean,
and
but like, how much can you? What when someone's in that
exactly.
state, like, what you can't say anything.
Exactly. You say that, and then it's all they're a victim, and they're just like they feel like and that's the way they always were. But I don't know what it's gonna take. Like I say, it took me kind of being there too, to go, "Yeah, I've had enough of this. Time to try something else." And it's weird to try something completely different. And if it's not scary, it's like jumping off a mountain into a river. And it's like, if you've never done it before, it's fucking scary and shit. But once you do it, it's like the rush is so big. And it's like, well, I've never lived without having this crutch. I've never done this. And you do it and you go, wow, it's scary, but it's exciting and the payoff's great. And it's like, hey, it's worth it,
It must have been really cathartic to write a book about all of this. Looking back on these moments in your life, and obviously, going back to your childhood, but then these crazy moments in your life, and then even to reflect where you are now. That's a lot of life.
Yeah, well, honestly, I say at the beginning of the book, it's like I wrote it because, like, when my best friend Tom, Pig Champion, died,
yep,
I started hearing all these people just bring up these bullshit stories about, it's like, oh, I was there when he did this or this, and I was like, you know what, that's not true. I was there too. And they go, no, I saw it. I saw this happen. So I started thinking, you know what, if I was to die today, people would start saying shit like that about me. And I did a lot of really fucked up things, and I know I did. And so I kind of just sat down and confessed this stuff and wrote it all down. And I kind of wrote it down for that reason. I thought that this was going to be my last will and testament. I was going to write this stuff down, and then that was going to be it. I was happy with the way I lived, and I was happy with the decisions I made, and I was just going to disappear, become nothing. And I wrote this down, and then at the end, all of a sudden something came up and my life changed. And I was like, wow, this is unexpected. But yeah, it was kind of a confessional. It was kind of a deathbed confessional that was the surprise ending.
What was the? What do you mean? Like, I don't understand you're at the end. Something changed. What changed in your life at the? Oh, you started writing it when you were like still high, or you just?
Oh yeah.
Usually started,
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then I found, I like met my wife, and
Rad.
she was she was like a woman who didn't know anything about punk rock. I mean,
Crazy.
she grew up. Yeah, she grew up in the Bay Area, and she knew you guys, and her sister used to go to your shows, and
Oh, okay.
Roofies and the Stone and all these places, but she didn't know anything about, didn't know what Poison Idea was, had no idea. So I met her, and she just, liked me for me, and that was cool. And then we hit it off, and she was, she's a mental health therapist. Maybe that has something to do with it.
It probably had a lot to do with it, I think.
Yeah. Talk me off the cliff.
Right, man. Right.
Yeah. And so that was, my whole life changed.
When was that? How long ago was that? When you guys meet?
3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And I already put in, the paperwork for the last year of PI. So she was around during that, I met her and we got married, and 3 months later I split to do a European tour. and she's like, what's this about?
Wait, that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to tell her, this is the last. I kept, problem. This is it. Don't worry about it. This is, I told her the whole story. This is, and so she, all right, yeah, do what you have to do. Just,
So she had never even seen you play or anything?
No.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's really a crazy story.
I mean, really in some ways, it's like better, like when somebody meets you and you're, in a band, or like they just instantly have this other view of you, like this. They look at you in a different way, whether you want them to or not, regardless of who you are.
Well, sure. Yeah. Like, we kind of started dating, and her parents were like, well, what does he do? And so they would Google, me, and they would see these like pictures of like
bloody face.
Yeah. And they're like, this is the guy. And she's like, well, that's not, and try to, so I'd have to, that's the kind of stuff. So
that must have been, how do you explain? Well, I used to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I used to. Yeah. But we all used to. We've all had that used to, everybody had.
You were definitely, I don't know if everybody had the used to that you used to have. Like, you guys were wild. I mean, like, it was fucking, I mean, I remember sitting there, I got, Morak shout out to Morat. He put us in touch with each other to hook up this interview. And I remember kicking it at Morat's house. This is, I don't know, a couple of decades ago, but we just sat there drinking and watching Poison Idea live videos. And I had never at that point, I'd never seen you guys live. So I was like, oh my God, you've got live videos. That's killing. And this is kind of even before YouTube was a thing. So, like I couldn't just find shit. And he had all these fucking bootlegs of you guys. And we sat there. He's like, look, Jerry's back there. Someone threw a bag of cocaine on the and he's just snorting it like you're right on stage at the Astoria, like snorting a bag of coke. I was like, oh my God, dude's a maniac.
Yeah. Well, I always thought if you're going to do something, do it. I mean, if you're going to be a comedian, be like Dave Chappelle, be like a good one. If you're going to be like a rock band, be a heavy rock band. If you're going to be a thug criminal junkie, be fucking turn up the juice and be like some, yeah. And then if you're going to be a good guy, be a good guy.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything half-ass. And, and we, Poison Idea, we listened to, we all loved Motorhead. We all loved Johnny Cash. We all loved Syd Barrett. We all love, Rocky Erickson. We just like the stuff that's like the pure music. And you put that in a blender and, start drinking and turn up that stereo and it just takes over your soul, and that's what we would do. It's just music. It doesn't like any kind of music that's good and pure is like I said, this whole gauntlet of everything,
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out there. There's so much. That's what people say. What are you listening to now? And I go, well, I'm going back and listening to the old Howlin' Wolf, all that, and it's just like, you listen to it, you're like, that's that Led Zeppelin song. And you're just like, no, that's the Howlin' Wolf song, that's Howlin' Wolf song. Or, this guy turned me on to Fairport Convention recently. And I was like, that's Led Zeppelin, man. That's, how many songs did Led Zeppelin take from these cats? And it's like, it's not stealing influence. Like, you can listen to Poison Idea songs and go, that's a Motorhead song. That's a Jism song. That's a Gizm song. That's that. It's like, no, I just, I got the feeling. I took the feeling from it.
Yeah.
And that's what, steal from the rich.
I felt like I always heard like Discharge in you guys. I don't know if that was correct, but
Sure. And you know what? I heard Discharge and I heard Black Sabbath. You listen to some of that Discharge stuff with that bass on the first couple records, and you hear, because I know they're both from Birmingham, but I hear Sabbath in that. I hear that some of that, and I'm just like, wow. And I can kind of I know where they're coming from, and you can hear us and you hear where we're coming from. Yeah, of course. Discharge was just like, it was, it's the best. It's like, it's like cooking with, you cook something, hey, put some of this, got this stuff called sugar or salt. It adds to the flavor. And it's like, well, I'm going to put this in every dish from now on because it makes it that much better, and you're going to make this song and I'm going to, put this bass in there because it makes it that much harder.
Yeah. I mean, I always felt like Poison Idea had, you definitely had the Discharge, and I was really into hardcore, and I was totally into punk, and I was loving bands like Attitude Adjustment and DRI. And, my second show that I ever saw as a kid was DRI on the Violent Pacification EP, where it was just nothing but SF skins, like that dude Dagger, and just like people just, sticking broken glass into their forehead on stage. And I was like, holy shit. I had long hair and I was like, fuck, this is insane. Me and my 15-year-old buddy just watching all these skinheads go crazy. And, but there was a danger to that just, it was thrilling, it was just crazy. It was fucking crazy. And we were lucky enough to go with these punk rock girls who were friends with all the skins, so we kind of avoided an ass beating, which we were grateful for. And but like, to me, like, I remember when I heard you guys, like, you guys had this sense of melody that a lot of those bands didn't have. Like, you could sing, you and your guys could sing, and I mean, a song like Plastic Bomb, or even like Just to Get Away, to me, those were like, I don't want to say it wasn't hardcore, because to me it still was hardcore, but it had like fucking massive hooks that, you could be singing that piano line, or you could be singing the whoa, or you could be singing the, the melody of Just to Get Away or whatever, like I always thought that separated you guys, in my opinion, from the other hardcore bands.
Well, that's going back to that thing again. Who's for me, it's like, who do you like as a lyricist? Probably Darby Crash. I think he's like one of the best lyricists ever. What about a drummer? Well, like Keith Moon or Descendants. Descendants are kind of a pop band, but they're great. And like, of course, Motorhead. These bands, Venom, Celtic Frost. These bands that just you take a little bit of everything and put it in there. The Beach Boys. Fuck, everybody's Beach Boys fan.
Right.
Everybody loves the Beach Boys.
Right. Yeah.
I remember I did a radio show in on the East Coast once. I won't say which one. And the DJ said something like about the worst band ever, and she's like, "Oh, the Beach Boys," like that. And it just, the whole interview just started
You're like, come on now.
But it's like, yeah, everyone's got their opinions, and there's some stuff that I don't really dig either. But it's variety, and it's the spice of life. It's like, it's good to have with everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course we, that's what got us off, because we were, aggressive young men full of testosterone, and we like that. We love Black Flag, we loved, the Germs, we love Discharge, we love Motorhead, and so we put that all together. But we also, like I say, we also loved, Love with Arthur Lee. We also loved, 13th Floor Elevators. We also loved, psychedelia. We also loved this and that. Shit, I saw the Bee Gees when I was a kid.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
they were probably fucking rad too, right? Like, it was probably a great show.
Yeah, those first records are really good. They're, I still listen to them. I do. I listen to all sorts of stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, they were a great band, like killer players. Like, they all harmonized amazing.
Yeah. Well, in my book, I talk about that my mom found out when I was like 9 to 10. I was like in 4th, 5th grade, and I was getting into trouble. We lived in some projects in Missoula, Montana, with these like, bunch of fucked up people. And
was that where you grew up, Missoula?
My dad lived in Eugene, Oregon, and my mom lived in Missoula, and they were both college towns. So they always had bands coming through, even like ZZ Top or Edgar Winters and stuff like that back in the old days. Like, the first show I saw was like Three Dog Night when I was like 9,
Oh, wow. Cool.
And then I just started, I figured out how easy it was to go to a show by yourself, and I would just sneak out and go see, like,
Oh, you'd go there alone at 9 years old?
10.
Yeah.
10, yeah, because she was the alcoholic, and she didn't care. So she was out doing her thing, and so I was like basically the man of the house, watching the brothers and sisters. And then I'd go out at night and, go see Doobie Brothers. I saw the Doobie Brothers too, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we, I just I don't know where I took the wrong turn and went off, but talking about the concerts I went to, yeah, and just saw so many concerts, and it was cool because, like I said, those two towns were college towns. And me and my wife went down to Eugene, Oregon 2 weeks ago, and went by the old college, where the basketball players play, and I went, whoa! I go, ELO. I saw ELO there, 77 or something like that. And she's like, really? And so, like, yeah. And I showed her where I live, and my dad was kind of the same way. He did his thing, and he just had me because it was like custody. He had to, have me for one school year, because my mom couldn't handle me, and then he took me for a year and got rid of me and sent me back. And so I was always going back and forth, and it was cool because, in a way, because I would just see these concerts all the time, and it wasn't too stable, but it was good for a little kid who was,
Hey everyone, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. If you did not know, Machine Head owns and operates 10 Ton Trading Company, the official merchandise company for the band. We make the designs, we source out all of the materials, get our friends and local businesses to print it all up. It is fulfilled by us. Everything is 100% DIY. So if you're buying from Machine Head, that money is going directly to us. It's not going to some big corporate merchandise company who's taking a gigantic cut of it. No, this is going right to us. And it helps support everything we do, and has certainly been amazing during the pandemic. So for all the people that have been loyal subscribers here on No Fucking Regrets, if you head over to 10tontradingco.com right now and enter the code No Fucking Regrets, you'll get 15% off. That's No Fucking Regrets for 15% off of the entire store. And if you're listening in the week of release, we're having a end of summer sale, as well as dropping some new items that are pertinent to the Unto the Locust record. So head over there, check it out one more time. No Fucking Regrets for 15% off store wide, and that's for being a loyal subscriber and listener here to the podcast. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Yeah, so your parents, take me back a little bit farther. So you're born, your parents split up after that, and then they, between Eugene and Missoula.
My parents, they split up when I was 8, and I had a smaller brother and a smaller sister.
Where'd you live till you were 8?
In Eugene.
Okay, in Eugene.
Yeah, and then my mom moved up to where her parents live in Missoula, and so I kept going back and forth for like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like back and forth.
Right.
And then when I was 15, I was just like, you know what, I'm a man.
Do you remember being pretty stable though until you were 8? Like, you had a family, parental.
Yeah. There, it was like I played baseball and did all that stuff, and had school, and my dad would do whatever. They were they had their problems obviously, because it wasn't just something overnight, but it was a family. Your
parents were drinkers?
My old man was, yeah. Yep. Like we went, like I said, we went down to Eugene, and I showed my wife the tree that my dad wrapped his Corvette around and broke his neck, and and they threw him into jail with a broken neck. My dad, they threw in, he was so drunk that they threw him into jail and his neck was snapped.
Wow.
And he got up the next morning and he was like, I think something's wrong with my neck. they're like, we'll put him in the hospital, So my old man had this thing for 6 months walking around like this.
Your dad had a Corvette, huh?
He had a
70s Corvette.
It was like what did he wrap? I think it was what was it? It wasn't the Cougar. I think it was a Roadrunner. He wrapped around the tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was your dad like a gearhead?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he had a lot of muscle cars around the house.
Yes. And it's weird too, because he did, and he had tattoos and that kind of stuff. He's one of those guys. But I for some reason, I didn't ever know anything about cars. I never knew anything about cars, ever. My wife knows more about cars than I do. That shows us like the yin and yang. I met her and she's like, oh, that's a, big block, blah, blah, blah. Like, what the hell are you talking about? She knows all about that stuff because she grew up in the Bay Area, and that's what, I guess that's what they did.
And maybe your dad just didn't sit down and talk to you about it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I was, riding my bike, right. Whatever. I'm sure if I would have hung out, if things would have worked out better, maybe,
Yeah. And so they split when you're 8, and then you move in with your mom in Missoula.
Yeah, for like 2 years until she couldn't handle me anymore, because it was like it was like a project full of like Native Americans and single mothers and just a bunch of low income families, and so all the little units had at least 3 kids. Some of them had like 6 and 7 kids, and there was 72 apartments in this place times 4 kids, so it was like a little city of children.
Right, it's a lot.
Yeah, and that's when I got my first big thing of kids. Like it was kind of like The Outsiders in a way, as far as like kids were like sniffing glue and dying, and kids were accidentally shooting themselves, and kids were doing this crazy shit, and but we were all, that's when I just started, that's when pot was around and drinking and doing that stuff, and then it just kind of, all sorts. It's crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, your experience, you're not in like an urban project, but you're in a project where it's like, you're experiencing all that riffraff that, most parents would hope to keep their kids away from for a little while at least.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was yeah. There was like like this I consider the pervert in the the apartment pervert, and the one kid, everybody was just the way it went. But the one family who had a father, I remember my friends actually had the father, and the kids were just like, you know what, my dad said, stay away from that guy. And I remember being so impressed, going like, wow, that's what, and they're like, yeah, that guy's no good, stay away from him.
Hmm.
And that's all it takes is one, one right, one voice of reason. These
Right.
kids, because nobody had, the kids didn't know, they were just set free to do whatever they wanted.
How old are you when you drink for the first time or smoke weed for the first time?
I
It's in
drank.
Missoula.
I would drink when I was a little teeny kid. There was a picture of me, one with a broken collarbone, and I was like 2 or 3, and I have a beer in my hand with a broken collarbone.
Oh my God. How
Yeah,
do you have a broken collarbone at 3?
I got pushed down some stairs by
Oh,
a girl, and
okay.
I was like, I don't know, it was either her or me, I guess. She was bigger. And I tumbled down these stairs and snapped my collarbone.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I wasn't like drinking beer every night, but there was a picture of me doing it. My dad laughing, I thought it was
Right.
funny.
Totally.
And yeah, and so yeah, so I was used to it. But I remember, because like I said, my mom was an alcoholic, and so I was like in 4th grade, and me and all the kids would take a little steal. Everybody would steal from their parents, and then we would meet in the playground at noon, and we would all go out and put it up, make like
A
and
suicide,
we'd all
right? They
yeah
call it a
yeah
suicide.
cheers. We'd all drink and then go back and school for the rest of the day. So that was yeah. So I was exposed to that early.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I think that was such a different time as well. I mean, I remember sitting on my dad's lap, and my dad smoked he smoked weed, but he also smoked tobacco out of a pipe, like a regular pipe, and drank Olympia beer. And I just remember being in San Lorenzo, which is just kind of like a white trash town that I grew up in, and just drinking. He'd let me drink his beer. He'd let me smoke his pipe. It was just such a different time,
Sure.
like that picture you're talking about, like you got a beer in your hand, like he would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Or driving down the street and having the kids sit on your lap.
Right,
And
right.
you steer for a while. Stuff like that.
Totally.
It was like, and I'm not saying that was better times or made us who we are today, but it's completely different times.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So you start seeing some pretty crazy stuff pretty early on. When you go back to Eugene, is it more calm with him? Like, is it more of a like structure?
No, no, he was like, he was a partier and kind of a quasi tough guy in a way. He wasn't that, but we lived in when I hit junior high, he had a roommate who was this guy who was like a pot dealer, and he also sometimes he sold like Seconal or cross tops and stuff like that, and he would
Like
and I
speed?
was yeah, and I
Okay.
was like how old was I then? 12, I think. 12 to 13. And they'd be out doing their thing at the bar, and this guy would call me and say, yeah, Bob's coming over, weigh him out, get the triple beam, weigh him like 2 ounces a pot, and give him
Wow.
like 50 cross tops, and make sure
Holy
he pay,
shit.
make sure he, so I'd like keep the books, and the guy would come over, and I'd give him the stuff, and then so I always had like drugs, because
Yeah.
that's how he paid me. I always
Wow.
had pot.
That
Yeah,
is fucking wild.
yeah, so we would do
Like they're
that.
both at the bar calling you to say, "Hey, by the way, do this drug deal for me." So I'm
Yeah,
gonna come
yeah,
home at
yeah,
12.
kind of a good thing, because I guess, like, unless the cops came up to the door, I guess nothing could happen really.
Right. Are you pretty big kid? Like some dude wouldn't have,
Oh
tried to
no, they
just
could have.
what's that?
No, they could have. I mean, a woman could have. I mean, I was a young kid, but I
Yeah,
wasn't like
yeah.
didn't hit my teenage years yet.
Right.
So yeah, they could have taken whatever they wanted if they wanted to, but then they would have to deal with this guy.
Right.
It was like, So yeah, it eventually happened. It's in the book. Like somebody came over and was like, "Oh no," he said, "it's cool. It's cool." He said it's okay. He's fronting me, and I was like, I don't know. And they're like, no, it's one of these things. I was like, okay. And then later when the books came out, he's like, "What's going on? Why are we short this money?" And I said something, and it was like he said, she said, and it was like a bad scene. So
Yeah. It was a bad
yeah.
scene for the dude who did that, or a bad scene for you?
It kind of between me and my father and his roommate, because the
Yeah.
roommate believed me and my father said, "That's bullshit." He's like, "That guy wouldn't do that." And I said, "No, they did." And my dad's roommate goes,
Oh,
"I
wow.
believe you," and stuff like that. So it was like one of these type of things. And my dad goes, "You know what? Pack your shit if you're going back to your mom's."
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. I was like, all right. And I didn't really mind that. I didn't mind. And I traveled by myself too, like on a Greyhound back and forth. Even when I was like 9, they put me on a Greyhound bus from Oregon to Montana, and I go back and forth. But I didn't mind traveling. I didn't mind, picking up and going to brand new schools. The thing I minded was I'd have records. I would accumulate some records, and then I'd have to leave them because all I could take was my clothes. And
Oh,
I'd go to this place with nothing, and I'd start all over again. And and in Missoula when I was a kid, I was this little like long-haired hippie kid, and would hang out in this record store all the time downtown. So these guys, they gave me a job of wearing like a big display board, and going downtown and passing out, 20% discount cards to people, like, come in and, buy one record, get one free, this kind of thing. And they would pay me in records.
oh,
So I would
wow.
have, yeah, and that's like, Diamond Dogs that just came out and shit like that. And I was like, all these great records. And so I had all this, and so I was like, I knew when my mom's like, pick up and send me your dad's. I was like, oh shit, these records, I know they're gonna be,
They're
yeah. And
not
I
going to
really
be
don't
there when I come back.
know,
Fuck.
yeah. And I don't know what happened to him. I didn't ask, but that's just the way it was. It's like whatever I had, I remember somehow I got a motorcycle once when I was a kid at my dad's house, and I had a motorcycle.
How old are you?
Like, oh, it was
Like a
junior
dirt bike
high.
or like a motorcycle?
Yeah, it was like it was a Kawasaki 100, little dirt
Okay.
bike, but still, I could go, I could sneak off and make some trouble with it, and I just knew that was gone. He's like, going back to your mom's. I was like, shit, there goes my bike.
Yeah.
It's not like I can lock it up, chain it up to a tree, and then hope it's there when I come back.
That's pretty harsh. I got to say, man, that's pretty harsh.
Yeah, well, some people are scumbags.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's, you're going to sit there and, you might not have cared, but, like it's somewhere deep down, it's just like your dad's kicking you out because he doesn't believe you about some drug deal you shouldn't even have been doing. You know what I mean?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? It's I don't know. It maybe obviously I was pissed off for years and years because I mean, look how put me in Poison ID, and I was obviously mad all through that time.
Yeah.
I was furious, for I felt, for whatever, just felt unwanted and alone and all this shit, and just that's what brought out the anger.
Yeah.
And that kind of, we channeled that anger into the art. That's what made the art so intense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of good in a way. And then people, we write these songs that are true songs about dealing with whatever, people dying, roadies hanging themselves, people, girlfriends killing themselves, people, fucked up cops beating people, all this crazy stuff. And then, we meet kids wherever we play, and they, they tell me, yeah, I was at the end of my rope, and I just listened to this song and the lyrics, and I thought about it. I just want to tell you that saved me from doing something crazy, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. If it's one person, that's just, so there was a reason way back then that this chain of events happened to get this one kid that was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When does so you go back to your mom's and you're with her for through your teenage years in Missoula?
Back and like I say, back and forth.
I'm still going back and forth. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because they wouldn't take me more than like a school year at a time. There's no way.
When do you start playing in bands? Like, does somebody say, "Hey, you seem like you're the singer. Why don't you be the singer?"
You know what? I started playing. I was in Montana, and my friend ripped off a church. They had like a church choir with like a PA, and some drum and a bass and some bass gear, and he heisted the whole microphones and stuff, and somehow got in there and loaded it up. And he gave me this bass, and I started playing it, and I played that for a couple of years, and we jammed. He was a guitar player. My wife looked him up, and she's like, you think this is the guy? Was in Montana, and I go, that's his name. I go, I think it is, and she goes, he's got like 72 felons on him now. And I go, that's probably it. That's probably the guy. That's probably the guy.
If he didn't give a fuck about ripping off a church, he wasn't going to stop any time after that.
Yeah, when he was like 15 then, and I was like 12. So he gave me this bass, and I started playing it. And then when I moved back to my mom in Portland, we were in Montana, and her and her boyfriend drove to Portland when I was 15 to be close to my Eugene, so I can go back and forth. And then when I hit Portland, I was just like, I started going to like shows here in Portland, like punk shows.
Okay.
And then by then, I was, like I say, 15. I was just like,
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're playing in your first band, are you playing punk rock? Or are you playing rock like David Bowie or Motorhead? I mean, what year is this? Like, what's the music that's going on?
The first band I played in was a band called Smegma.
Right. I know about that.
And they were kind of like, they had some structure.
Is it Montana?
That was in Portland. They're from Pasadena, and they moved up to Portland. They were kind of like a freeform, just kind of avant-garde. They had some structure, kind of surfy. Some stuff was surfy. A lot of tape loops, and they worked with this big scene in Los Angeles, the LA FM Free Music Society, and they did like people from that went on to do like Wall of Voodoo and Human Hands, and all these bands like that. And so that was that. I saw them in Portland with like some punk bands, some like punk, pogo type bands. And I saw this band open, and they were just, to me, they were more kind of, I couldn't figure them out. I could understand the punk stuff. I could understand this was like Ramones. I could understand that, kind of the cartoony rock and roll. But this other stuff, I was just like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
This stuff is like this. It's kind of like Japanese, avant-garde.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I was just like, this is crazy. This is like hard. To me, this is hard. And so I like that. That's what I like. So I started bugging those guys. I was like, they're like, get away from us, kid. And I was like, hanging out. Let me carry your stuff. Let me go. So I started hanging out with them, and they actually had a bass player that would keep this rhythm in the background, and the guy quit. And they're like, so they took me down. This guy, like, they auditioned me, and I went down the basement and played like a Crass song off the first Crass record, like just like really fast punk rock. I knew the whole Crass song. And he's like, yeah, you can play, sure, all right.
And that was it.
So, yep. So that was my first band, and that was in '79.
Were these guys older than you? Like they're?
Yeah. I was 16, and they were like in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that must have been pretty thrilling. Like now you get up stage.
Yeah.
Like your first. Do you remember your first show being like fucking orgasmic? Where you're just like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing.
Well, like I said, with anything that you're not used to and it's the unknown and it's scary, then when you get done with it, the payoff is so great. It's so like it's just like exactly orgasmic. It was just like so great. And that's what I say what's so cool about doing things today that you're unfamiliar with, or you don't know, you try to do it, like 10 years ago, trying to get my GED, which I never, shit like that, or doing these things in the last 3 years from now, where I'm actually working with like, a bank or Social Security, or dressing up in a suit, doing something like that, and going and talking to these people. It's just like my heart's just pounding, but I do it, and I can actually do it. And I go, wow, that's something. I actually did this. I'm like, you know what? I can do this. So yeah, it's crazy. But the first show was insane. Yeah, it was, I just feel okay. For example, just think you can do anything. So I was in this band. I thought, you can do anything. You can play. Why can't we play with the Rolling Stones? Why not? We're a band. That's how it works. I saw a videotape of the Cramps playing in Napa Insane Asylum in California, the Napa Asylum, where it's like in Napa Valley Asylum.
Okay.
The place by San Francisco, it's like a mental institution. And the Cramps played there, like in '78, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this videotape of it. And we have a mental institution in down the street, like 50 miles in Portland. So I called these people up. I'm 16 years old, and I called them up and said, hey, I'm in a band. We want to play for, like an afternoon show for your patients and they're like, what kind of music do you play? And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like, easy listening, this and that. And they're like, sure, come over, Monday night, 8:00. So I got another band, and we went to we played. And the people.
Oh, the avant-garde band didn't play.
No, they did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
They did. Two bands played.
Oh, you got two. Oh, you got another band to join you. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and the place, they were cool with it. They were cool with it. The people in my band, they were like, "How did you do this?" And I was just like, I just called them up and asked them. That isn't that how you do things? I don't know. And so that, that's how it kind of started, and that was kind of my introduction to this world. And I just, from there, every time the Dead Kennedys would come to Portland, they would always ask to play with Smegma, because they were just, we were that band,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just the way.
So pretty early on, you're playing shows with Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it must have been, I never got to see them with Jello, but I've seen a million videotapes. It must have been fucking completely crazy.
Yeah. Well, Rob, you're not dead yet, so you might see that still.
That would be awesome. I saw him with the other singer, their new singer. He was great. Jello's something else though.
Yeah. So that just, that started it. And then, how bands go when you're 16, it's like you're in a band for 6 months, then you're in another band for 6 months, then you're a band for, So I was in like, from 16 to, I think I don't know how old I was when I started Poison Idea. Maybe 17 or 18. But I was in like, 7, 8 bands before that.
Okay.
Playing bass. And then finally I just wanted to sing because the singer's got all the girls.
Right.
That's not always true.
Like Lemmy said though, like the only reason you're in a band is because you want to get laid.
Yeah, or you can't do anything else. Or,
right.
Fate puts you there. Yeah, but it's best job in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You and Tom started, or is it you and somebody else? No, Tom joins later, right?
Yeah, I started with my friends. We were all like 17. The rhythm section was in another band. They could actually play, and me and the guitar player were playing in some other band, this band called The Stand. And we were kind of punky, and but these guys could play a little bit. They were playing like AC/DC songs and stuff like that. So we took them and started Poison Idea. And then my guitar player wouldn't really turn up, wouldn't distort. He was playing kind of more clean buzzcock type sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Tom's band, and they were playing like real power chord bass downstroke. And so I thought, well, that guitar player, if he played in, so I just went over and basically took him, started taking, you're out, you're in, doing this, doing that. That's when that came. That's when the four brothers, the Ramones, broke up and they started getting people that, here, put on this coat and dress up like him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that so you learn things too. You learn that it's not all just like, it's not friends going through life, like the Beatles. You're finding people that you don't even know playing in your band.
Yeah.
And yeah, but you get better, and so it's just a life lesson.
Did you feel a connection with Tom when you first met him?
Well,
like
when I first met him,
you didn't really know him. You just kind of saw his band and were like, "Fuck, this dude's killer."
Yeah, I saw him like before, like a year before.
Okay.
At a Dickies show in Portland, and he remembered me because I was bouncing around, and I remember him because he had a beard and I was shoving him, and I was going like, "Who's this bearded asshole out
Oh
here?"
wait, you guys are in the pit together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and he remembered me because I was a big guy, and he didn't like me because I was like some bald, guy, and I didn't like him because he was like some bearded redneck looking guy. So we didn't like each other, and we were pushing each other. But he remembered me, and I remembered him, and then I saw his band. I was like, oh, that's that guy. But he was playing like English punk rock. They were doing like Killjoys, Menace, Lurkers, stuff like that. He was playing like this punk stuff, and I was like, wow, he knows his shit. He's and I remember we talked, and he's like, what kind of music do you like? And I said, like Joy Division and stuff like that. And he's like, ew, that's he said that derogatory word, that kind of music,
Right.
that kind of music. And I was like, what do you listen to? And he's like, I like, Menace and, Sham 69. I was like, oh, you meathead, And so we didn't get along at first, but then it's just, I think maybe alcohol did kind of smooth the,
Yeah.
yeah. But then we,
really, you were listening to Joy Division? You didn't just say that to him? Like you were actually listening to Joy Division?
Yeah, because I was in the first wave of all this stuff, and then like I say, like when I was in Smegma, they kind of were scary to me, and then I would actually hear the post punk stuff, like The Fall and Joy Division, and that stuff was new to me, and that I could, like I say, I could understand the punk rock stuff, but I couldn't understand Joy Division. I was like, this is kind of scary. This is kind of creepy stuff. So that stuff.
Like, were you into The Cure? Like, was The Cure coming around? But I mean, that would have been.
I love The Cure when they first came out. Yeah, when they first came out, I loved The Cure. That was like, to me, that was just pop. They were like, even their first record was really pop. But yeah, all this stuff. Like I say, the Fall. Still, nobody can still explain the Fall. They're still they're really all over the place. But that kind of stuff, and there was when the post punk no wave stuff came out, that stuff was just like, it was new, and like I say, it's unknown, and the unknown stuff is scary. I've said this before in like an interview that that record No New York with Jesus, Teenage Jesus and the Jerks, the Contortions, DNA and Mars. That record was the only record that really physically scared me, where I was like, I thought these people were like insane. I thought these people have to be like mass murderers. They're just like, look at them. I'm like, look at these people. They look like killers. I'm like, they somehow got these people who are serial killers and gave them instruments and put them in the recording studio and had them make this record and it would actually scare me. I was like a kid. I was like, this shit is fucking scary as fuck. I'm like, it blew my mind. And so that's, of course, things like that are gonna, you're gonna be drawn to it.
Yes,
because
totally.
you're just like, wow, this is crazy. And it's like, hey, what about Gabba Gabba Hey, man? It's like, that's a cartoon, I know that. That's nice, that's fun. But this stuff is like fucking scary, And so I was into that. I kind of went that way. And so Tom was like, what are you into that horrible shit? Well, that stuff's bad. That's bad, And I was like, no, it's really good. And I would try to play it for him, and he's like, that's noise. That sounds like noise. And we both kind of, were going back and forth. But then about that time, the first Black Flag and Discharge thing came out right about then too.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, okay, now punk rock is dangerous again. It's like with that, punk rock got dangerous, and that just lit off. The Dead Kennedys were around. They were around, and they were always. But even their stuff, some of their stuff is not really hard. It's fast and really ferocious, but it's not really vicious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cynical.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but the punch in the face, Black Flag stuff, that was just like, whoa, this is just like, that was, of course, it was violent, but it was just like made it dangerous again. Punk rock got dangerous again.
Yeah, this is pre-Rollins you're talking about, like this era.
Yeah, with the Dez and
Yeah.
So that was a common denominator with me and Tom. We were like, okay,
that was the middle ground that you guys could both go, all right, this is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, and that's when we're like, we want our band to be like this. We're like, we want to be like this. And Tom goes, well, what about what about Johnny Cash? We're like, well, let's make it like, let's put some of that in there too. Let's put some, make it like, sprinkle some gold on it.
Was he as big at this point?
Tom was always a big bone guy. He was a big bone guy, but he loved pleasures of the flesh. He liked to do. That's why we all became drug addicts, because we're decadent and we like drinking peppermint schnapps by the gallon and eating chocolate and laying around peeling grapes watching Three Stooges. So that's why not? It's pleasure.
Having your punk rock wenches feed you grapes while you're
Oh yeah, it gets those endorphins firing. It's nothing like it, and it's just like booze or drugs, or having orgasms. It's like just keep it going.
Wasn't there a record? Didn't you guys put out a single called like "Get Drunk and Fuck" or something?
Yeah, get loaded. And
that's
fuck.
it. Get loaded. Get loaded
Yeah. Hey, that's like the the meaning of life. What's the meaning of life? It's like get loaded and fuck.
Are you still a virgin at this point? Like, have you been laid at this point while you're in Poison Idea? Are you still a virgin at this point? Like, have you been laid? Have you had sex at this point? By the time you're in a band now?
That was like back when I lived with my mom.
Oh, okay.
You forget where I grew up. these little, these island of lost boys, or whatever they call it, like from Pinocchio. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, so you're not. So back in Missoula, when you're like 12 or 13 or 14 or something, you're talking about.
Yeah. That's all in the book. I can't get it. It's pretty hardcore. It's it's really hardcore, and but like I said, I didn't want to pull any punches because I was telling the truth.
Right.
So and there was part too with like child molesters and children prostitutes and shit like that, all sorts of crazy stuff. So
wow. So that was there in Missoula?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's heavy, man.
Well, not so much like like girls like standing on a corner like whistling at guys. Is more like big brothers going, hey, my little sister, like stuff like that, like white trash guys, like
yeah,
hey, I did it, if you want to, here, $5, stuff like something like that.
Holy moly. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
you talk about that in the book, though. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Is that your first? Is that your first experience, like somebody's little sister for $5 or something?
No. I wasn't gonna. First time, I wasn't gonna pay for it for the first time. That would have really fucked up my life.
I know. Can you imagine?
God forbid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I think like Richard Pryor's first time was when he was like 6 years old or something from a prostitute. He's like, it fucked me up for the rest of my fucking life. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm lucky in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, he grew up in a brothel. Like he grew up in a fucking, that's just insane. Like all he knew was just hookers and prostitutes and Johns and.
Yeah. Well, we've all freebased coke before, so I guess that's the end result of that life.
Yeah. So Poison Idea starts get going. You guys get your singles out. You start putting out music. I'm sure do you start playing like instantly with like every cool punk rock band and that we all revere now?
Well, we lived in Portland, and so there's really not a big market. It's not like the East Coast, but there is Vancouver, BC, and Seattle.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, like in '79, the Clash came over to Vancouver, and lots of bands, whoever the Undertones and stuff like that would go to Seattle. So they would always come back and forth. And like from California, the bands that would come up and play Seattle, Vancouver were like the Dead Kennedys, of course, the Bags, the Weirdos, Crime. I'm trying to think of the Deals a bunch of times. DOA was up north, so they would come down all the time. The Pointed Sticks were up there; they would come down. The Young Canadians would be coming down.
Is this before like the Accused and stuff like that? Is this?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, the Accused were still. They were just. That's when like Soldier started playing, and Soldier turned into the Farts, and then the Farts turned into the Accused.
Okay.
So like the Zeros, just all these the first wave of LA bands.
Yeah.
And
Social D or anything like that? Social D would come up?
Yeah, they came up on that tour they did for the movie, the one with Youth Brigade.
Yeah.
They came here and in their bus, and they played here and stuff. And so
you guys were at the show?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, they didn't play in Portland. They came up here, and the venue said no way. It was like a restaurant type thing, and the venue said no way. So we just had a giant party for them at this house, and a bunch of people played and stuff at this house.
Holy shit, that's fucking awesome.
So, yeah, and that was kind of cool about Portland too. Is like a lot of times the house parties were off the hook. Like DRI played here the very first time at like a house party, in a basement and stuff like that. So there was,
that's killer. I remember a lot of the early thrash scene shows were like that, like backyard parties.
Oh yeah. The the NoFX, Condemned to Death, RKL, all those bands would come up.
RKL. I loved Keep Laughing by RKL, man.
Yeah, they were
Keep Laughing.
They were an underrated band. They should have been a lot bigger than they were.
They should. For a moment there, like every girl punk rocker I knew was just like, oh my god, RKL. Like they had the girls. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yep. They were Santa Barbara guys.
Yeah, I think they had a song about acid too that I used to like. I'm spacing on, brain farting.
Take some acid, we'll come back to you.
So you guys, when does Poison Idea start in your mind kind of, gelling and happening? And I mean, is it like Hangover, Heart Attack? Is that like kind of when it all starts to coalesce?
Well, I mean, I think it really gelled when I got Tom in the band, because his downstroke, his right hand, he would never go back. He would always just downstroke, and he gave us that sound.
Yeah. He was a beast.
Then, something happened to our drummer. He was playing with somebody else, and then we got Steve Hanford to come over, and then Hanford kept wanting to bring his whole band over that were like these guys, these metal guys who they knew absolutely nothing about punk. Like Craig Lauer, Mondo, he didn't know anything at all about punk rock. He really didn't know anything about metal, but he knew how to play guitar.
Yeah.
So we would give him a diet of whatever, and and so those people, I mean, I'm trying to do this diplomatically with not, saying bad stuff about them, because I don't speak shitty at people, but they're all good musicians. They're all good musicians. And so I guess it's like, if you take a room full of really, really good musicians, and have somebody with some kind of vision, and just like, Frank Zappa or something, and tell them how to play, it's going to sound like that. And so that's kind of what me and Tom did. We had these guys, and we told them how to play, and it sounded great. It's like Tom's vision and my vision of this music that we both love so much. It was sound like a steamroller, Yeah,
your early stuff had a lot of like a surprising amount of guitar, like really good guitar solos, like some dude shredding, like straight up metal shredding, like.
Yeah, Yeah.
That always like surprised me. Like I started on Feel the Darkness and I went backwards. That's just was my starting point. But I was just like, whoa, there's a lot of like metal shredding. Like, it was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys thought
Yeah.
it was cool, but I thought it was cool.
No, that's what it was. That's what it was. We got like a guitar player from a band who was playing like Ingve,
Yeah, it sounded like it. I mean, it was like shredding, fucking ripping leads. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So about that time, instead of gelling, the punks were at the show and they were like, what the hell is this? What's going on here? But thankfully for us, that was going on like kind of all over.
Yeah.
I mean, with like, whoever, the Cro-Mags or the Bad Brains and stuff like that was happening too.
Yes.
That stuff was happening. Guitar players were, stepping up and doing it. So since then, we never really looked back. We've always been that. We've always kept the guitar playing, has always been up to par from then.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Is that the vegetable guy was the one who was doing the solos?
He did them. Coxman did them. Like I say, Mondo. That guy he could play anything. We would cover a Gizm song, and he could totally mock Randy's leads just like perfect. But he never heard him before. We would play him for him and go like, listen to this, and he listened to it like twice and go, yeah, okay, I can do it. He would play it, and he would just, so he knew his shit. And but you start doing that, and you're kind of like taking Xeroxes of things, and it kind of loses the picture a little bit because you're copying it, and it's not really your own. But that's
right.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. What the Ian MacKaye EP is pretty legendary, controversial, and legendary in your catalog. Which I'm gonna put up right now. I'm gonna put a screenshot of it up because it's just so fucking funny. I guess it's your roommate, right? Like spreading his ass cheeks or something.
Yeah, he was the bass player in Tom's band that I stole Tom from.
Okay.
Imperialist Pigs.
Okay.
Great names. Yeah. So that
Tom's roommate or your roommate?
It was Tom's.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you guys just go, hey, we're thinking about doing an EP with your asshole and your balls hanging out on it.
Yeah. Well,
is it like you've got a nice ass? Let's take a picture of your asshole.
Sure. We'd sit around at night, we'd drink, and we'd just stare at this guy's ass all the time, right? So one night we just I think I can't remember what kind of records were coming out then to make us want to do that. But Tom, we just kept always trying to push the envelope and do it a little more. And Tom just said, what I think would be cool is just a picture like where the spindle of the record goes, just an asshole, and just have the guy spreading his ass. And we thought, well, could we do that? And we already did the cutting, and the cutting before it was the cutting with the Poison idea, it was going to be a brand. We were going to get a horse brand with like a brand and like go tss, like with a brand of Poison idea on flesh. And so we kept trying to up the, of just insanity.
Nihilism, up the nihilism.
Exactly. So we did that. So we had the picture. We did the picture first.
Okay.
And then we.
Is it like do you hire like a friend, like it looks like a fairly professional photograph?
It was just some guy. I think it was. I worked at a restaurant as a dishwasher, and one of the prep cooks was going to school for photography.
Okay.
So we gave like $50 to come over and do it. And then I don't think he talked to me ever again.
I was going to say, did you tell him beforehand, like, hey, you're going to be taking a picture of my roommate's asshole?
Yeah. Okay, same thing with the cutting too. Okay. So we had the picture.
So the cutting, you're talking about the cutting on the cover at Kings of Punk.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I thought Ian MacKaye was before Kings of Punk for some reason. I had that backwards.
No.
Okay.
But so we had the picture of that with the guy's ass spread, and you could almost tell what temperature he was by looking at it. And so we had that, and then we started throwing around titles, and we had all these different titles. Tom was like, "What about Dinner is Served?" Like, Poison idea, Dinner is Served. And we had all these different titles for it. We're doing this and this, and for days we were bouncing ideas around. And something happened. I forgot what it was. Something happened, and Tom just goes, "Fuck it." He's like, "We're calling this Ian MacKaye," like that, for Ian MacKaye. And I was, and at the moment, for a second it was funny. I guess it was an inside joke we had that we took and ran with, and it took on a meaning of its own because everybody's just like, they can kind of associate what they ever want. They can think what, it's kind of what you look like a Rorschach test, I guess. You look at it, what do you see? A picture of a guy's asshole and says Ian MacKaye. What does that say? What do you think that says? And that's kind of what it became. People right away said, "Oh, you're calling Ian MacKaye an asshole. You're calling him an asshole." And I think maybe at first it kind of was. I was saying that at first, but it's like
you guys are like raging, ragers, and he's straight edge. So like,
yeah,
it was kind of like drawing the line between, at least for me, that when I saw it, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was always kind of, it was always kind of a class thing in a way, but it was kind of like the Tiny Tim thing with the gun. Some people think that's kind of anti-Tiny Tim, but when Tiny's people saw that gun and they saw the artwork and gave us like a cease letter, said, fucking take that down. You can't.
Oh, you got a cease and desist for it. Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. And we wrote back and said that it was a art piece, and our gun represents like society and the ugliness of humanity, and Tiny is representing beauty and peace and this and that. It's kind of a balance. And they're like, okay, I'll buy that. Sure, whatever, Yeah, all right, go ahead. And even though we're just totally bullshitting them,
That's pretty good.
And so it was kind of like the Ian MacKaye thing too. It's like, I never really put too much thought into it about what it was. I just like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Did you guys ever run into each other like after that happened? Play on shows
never.
or no?
Never.
I saw he wrote a letter at one point and was very unhappy to the.
Well, you know what? We just re-released that. It's being pressed on vinyl right now as Get Loaded and Fuck, because I'm repressing it on American Leather, and the guy, my partner in American Leather, Mark, was like, TKO said, you want to put the Ian MacKaye record out? And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to give him any more. It's like, I don't want to, because that joke isn't funny anymore. And I don't want to piss the guy off anymore, because like I say, it wasn't meant to like hurt somebody or piss anybody off. It was always, it's as hard and vicious and pounding, relentless Poison idea was. We always had, like you say, melody. We always had some pop sensibilities, and we always had humor. That's the one thing about punk rock. It was always humor. It was always funny. There's always funny shit at Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
When it was pounding like Black Flag, or stuff that scared me like Joy Division, that was the stuff that was scary. There's no humor. You don't listen to Joy Division and laugh.
No.
So
you want to commit suicide when you're done listening.
Yeah. So like with Poison Idea and the Ian MacKaye thing, it was like supposed to be humor in that. And there's always, and all the record collectors are pretentious assholes. Come on, that's stuff like that. So yeah, so I didn't want to pursue it anymore, and keep
right.
Yeah. So yeah, Ian did see it, and he wrote letters to somebody and said, by us, making him. They think they're knocking me down a peg because they think I'm a god or something, which I'm just a human. But now, since they're doing this, they are elevating me to the position of a god by putting me on this record and putting my, that. It's just like, yeah, dude, you overthunk it. It's like, we never thought that deep into it. We're just fucking being assholes and just running with it, So take it easy.
Kings of Punk is, to me, that's like, when I listen to the songs on those records, you really like gelled. Like it like that to me is like where Poison Idea starts to sound like Poison Idea. You know what I mean? I don't know if you feel that way, but it just really, like, the songs are tighter, more compact. Like it's like meat and potatoes, like fats trimmed off. Like it's just fucking bang.
Yeah, it's, there's that saying, you have your whole life to make your first record and 6 months to make your second one.
Yeah. Right.
And that's kind of what, that's kind of like the first record, The Picture King, with all the songs on there, the castration, the drunk, the this, and the, you know, the whatever, the child abuse. That was kind of our formative years and growing up, and that's what it was. Then the second one was we started coming into our own, and we started dating girls and getting our hearts broken for the first time. And at the same time, we were picking up on other music, and you know, it was a progression. It was the sound of a band maturing, you know. So yeah, it sounded, yeah, there was you know, every record is kind of completely different, but it's kind of the same. You know, everything just keeps, you know, the records are different, but they're the same. They're the same band. And I don't know. Yeah, Kings of Punk was a good record. And you know, in the record too, we put a poster in there, and Tom thanked all the bands we listened to. And there were just like all sorts of like punk, you know, international punk, and there was just all sorts of obscure rock and roll too, you know, like, you know, the Sonics or the Zombies or, you know, stuff like that. There was all sorts of rock and roll. And in a way, it was kind of, we kind of hoped that people would see that and say, you know, one of these, oh, if you like this, check this out. You might like this too, you know. And that's what it was, even though we were censored on that record. And
that cover was censored? Or the songs were censored?
Puss had censored Tom's liner notes. He wrote a couple bands. He put a couple bands on that thing that Puss didn't want to put the bands on there. And I can see now one of the bands turned out to be really bad. It was that bad English band that got really the with the bald guys in it. The really bad English band with the bald guys that all the boneheads in San Francisco listened to.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But see, that was before they came really like hardcore, like really went out. But Tom was just like, you know what, it's freedom. You should decide for yourself. And I think he put G.G. Allen on there too, and this stuff. And Potts had said no. He like took that stuff off there.
Took G.G. Allen off, huh?
Yeah. And Tom was pissed off about it. He's like, you know, it's kind of like censorship, you know. But I kind of agree with Puss in the one sense. I wouldn't want to have that one horrible band there. They were just toxic.
Yeah. So. Did you ever see G.G. Allen?
No, I never did.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Tom was friends with him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There's pictures of those guys partying together.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they both look like they're gacked out. They're just sweaty. Like, just sitting there together. I'm like, oh my god. Like, how did your heart not explode? You know.
Yeah, I saw them. I saw G.G. Allen twice. I saw G.G. Allen in whatever band he was touring with twice. And both shows ended in full-scale riots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty wild. It was the second show. The first show was memorable. Just, you know, like he had a real little dick, and probably because he was on so much fucking crank or whatever the fuck it was. But like, you know, he comes out naked. He's not that big of a dude to begin with, and then he's just got this little fucking like rosebud.
Yeah.
Just like whoa, and he's shitting and smearing himself and starts punching people, and then he did have a way of inciting that crowd because, like, you know, pretty soon like 75 people are in a full scale fucking riot fighting each other, and me and my girlfriend and my friend Phil, it literally just there was this little, it was at Ruthie's Inn. So if you remember Ruthie's in Berkeley, I don't know. Yeah. And it just goes over that little, there was like a seated area in the middle of Ruthie's Inn. It just goes, it was like watching fucking a Wile E. Coyote, chairs and fists and the second time he played at this place in San Francisco, and I went there with Harold O, who did the Murder in the Front Row. And same thing, but everybody, I think, this point knew to stay away from G.G. Allen on stage at this point. Like, so the whole crowd was back about 15 feet. Like, no one's like, I'm not going to that stage. And this punk rocker dude comes up, and he's got his hair all spiked, and he's got like the plaid pants on, and he's like starts getting a little closer. And he starts getting a little closer, and he gets about 5 feet away from Gigi. Gigi just takes a handful of shit, sticks it in his hand, and just fucking drops this dude. Just fucking socks him, knocks him. He's like, that. And then he takes a shit on stage, and the way this place was is it had two staircases that went up into like a triangular balcony. So like if you could imagine that, like the balcony, there was a bar up there and there was two staircases that went up to it. So he goes and he runs up one side of this balcony, and it was just a fucking punk rock stampede of people running. I mean, like, 50 people just screaming, running away from G.G. Allin, like, doo-doo, I'm going to put it on you. Like, just because he's got a handful of shit. And then that one ended in a riot also. And that was it. It was about four songs of craziness. And
it's so funny that one guy can just become so much fear.
Yeah.
Command so much fear from people. Just, like when you're a kid and you go to your grandmother's house and she's baking cookies and stuff. And so from your adult life, every time you smell cinnamon, you always think back at grandma's house, that warm smell, like butter and cinnamon.
Right.
Like, do you ever like walk into a bathroom and smell shit and all of a sudden you just remember like G.G. Allin's concert just like pops in your head? You're just like, it just like triggers me.
I tell you what, I never did until you brought that up, and now I probably am. Now I'm probably gonna walk into some shithole and be like, G.G. Allin. Smells like G.G. Allin in here.
Just start humming one of his songs, just like.
So no G.G. Allin shows with Poison Idea. Yeah, that might have been too much chaos. When did the really like violent Poison Idea? There was kind of a time when I feel like you in particular really embraced that self-destructive, the bloody face, the cutting, it seems like early on it wasn't so much, but it graduated to that at one point. When was that point?
Well, like when we started, like when Tom was in the band and we just had the first lineup, we were really into mocking the Iggy Pop, Darby Crash stuff. We used to slice ourselves. I used to go up and just fucking take a bottle and just slice my chest up to ribbons and roll around in glass and stuff and do that kind of shit, break things over my head. And so that just kind of, we always had that, and that kind of escalated. Then when the skinheads came in, we weren't going to take that shit from them. So we used to have full on like battles with those guys and fight with them and stuff. And then, just like playing places in Europe and having people just like, if there's like bikers there and they're throwing bottles at us, or like, fuck that, well, that's not going to happen. So we would like run off stage and go up in the balcony and just get in these full fights with these people. And, once you put yourself out there like that, there's always people going to come start looking for that whole purpose.
Right.
And, like one of the last tours we played, when I was just like, so I kind of wanted to play to, like I say, to make it up to everybody. And I was kind of past that. And we're playing in Europe somewhere, and there's fucking broken glasses sticking on the stage, like all over. And people are falling on the stage and just, embedding themselves.
Oh, like beer glasses or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm kicking them off, and I'm just like, hey, everybody, back up. Look, watch out. There's glass here. Please don't get on the stage. So by me saying that, some cat walks over with two full glasses and just smashes them on the stage. Just like, we come here for this. Don't tell us, what to do. This is who we are. This is our life. This is this fucking destruction and shit like that. And I was like, you know what? It's like, I'm past that now. I don't want to do that shit anymore. It's like I still sometimes I get a fucking pimple on my head, and I'll fucking pop it, and a piece of fucking glass will come out of my head. It's been for like 30 years.
Oh my God.
So it's like, I was like, I don't want to do that stuff anymore. It's like, it's like, why? It's like, just already did it.
Yeah.
So, but it's always been there, that stuff. And like I say, you start doing that all the time, and it's just, sure, it's when you're a kid and you're crazy and it's, it's pissed off at the world and angry and stuff. It's got a reason behind it. But if you're just going out there and just doing it for the sense of just doing it for shock, it just doesn't, it loses everything.
Yeah.
There's other ways to, burn down the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember who played me. I want to say it was one of my friends, this guy Clay, who played me Feel the Darkness for the first time. But this record hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. Like, just the first time I heard it, I was like, what? I'd been in a thrash metal band for a long time. I want to say it was like 90 or 91. And I always loved hardcore and punk rock, and would, like I said, my second show was DRI. I saw Cro-Mags and played with Suicidal a bunch of times, so like I played with GBH, played with The Accused. I always considered myself like a metal head. Like I wasn't a punk rocker, but that's all I hung out with because I skated, and all the people where I grew up in Fremont who were into skateboarding were punk rockers. So, I was constantly, 7 Seconds and Minor Threat and just this constant exposure to it. And I remember at the time, like metal, like around the end of the 80s, kind of the beginning of the 90s, like metal had gotten really, like, I loved Slayer and I loved all that stuff. And, I think it's cool that you mentioned Venom and Celtic Frost, earlier, that had some kind of effect on you. But I had kind of become bored with metal. Like it was everybody was kind of following the Metallica Black Album, like, and Justice for All thing. And Feel the Darkness came in, was just this breath of fresh air to me. I mean, it was definitely hardcore and punk rock, but it had some metal in it. And like I said, it had melody and just the fucking lyrics, man. Like I rarely do this, but I fucking determined myself to learn every word on that album, because it was just so fucking intense and crazy. And I loved that you were just singing about, welcome to Krell. And I swear to God, I'll never do another line of Krell. I don't believe in God. I swear to God, I'll do it to a dime. I was like, oh my God, I'm living this right now. Like every word that he just sang, like at that. And I mean, just every fucking song. And, from, Just to Get Away, like the whole sentiment, grab my girl, she's 16 and she's really, all that, Alan's on Fire, the fucking Plastic Bomb, but it got to Feel the Darkness. And I mean, I remember sitting there with my bass player at the time, Adam. We would just listen to that song on repeat, and it was just like, I don't know, maybe we were both in a really dark place, just maybe depressed, or we weren't depressed. We were just like fucking crazy, violent, out of our mind, fucking lunatics. But it connected so much. Even now, I listen to that record just kind of before I did this, just to kind of refresh on stuff. And like, it's goosebumps. Like, it's such a powerful song, and just the sentiment and the, there's something sometimes that I'm attracted to, like depressing music, like, and something about the hopelessness of that song, like it, even now, like I really connect to it, and I love it. And I just wanted to, kind of get to where, get into what your headspace was at the time when you were writing that. Cause there's some, to me, that's a masterpiece album. Like top 10 desert island album for me.
Wow, thanks. So are you talking about the song Feel the Darkness or the whole?
Yes, the song Feel the Darkness. You started with nothing, but you ended with less. Like,
yeah.
It's so fucking, it's
yeah.
amazing,
Yeah. Well, like I said, the whole progress of the records, all the records were, you write about what you know, and that's, the first record was this, second that, and then by the time Feel the Darkness came, we were all Krell and dope and booze. And I knew this girl who she was like a dancer girl, and I lived downtown in this apartment, and she would come up and see me, and we would go to this bar. I wasn't 21 yet, so
oh wow.
But I could go into a bar and this big club, and we would go and we dance sometimes. She'd try to make me dance, and so I knew her, but she was doing dope. She was doing heroin, and she started doing more, and she was, so she had to support her habit. So she started prostituting, and she got picked up by this guy in Portland, this serial killer the Malala River killer, and he killed like 6 girls
Wow.
here in Portland, and he got her and
Crazy.
killed her, fucked her up, tortured her.
Oh my
And
God.
so
That's fucking
yeah,
horrible.
yeah. So all that stuff, all the Allen's on Fire is a true story. About this
Wow.
guy who poured gas on himself in front of his family. Invited him over on Easter, and the wife's berating him, and the kids are fucking, and they were, yeah, and he was just beat down. He didn't say anything. He just got up and walked in the backyard, and
Holy shit.
just lit himself on fire in the backyard.
Wow.
And yeah, so all that record is, like I say, it's dark.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. Like as you were saying that about the dancer that you were hanging out with, you walk the streets because you got bad habits. Meet a man, gonna make you a drink. Wow. Like I didn't put that together. Like that's fucking dark shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I didn't want to like,
did you know the Allen from Allen's on Fire?
He worked with David, who helped us. He was like worked at this guy's job with him, and David came back and told me the story. He's like, oh, and his name was Allen. He's like, you got the fucking guy. And he's like he deserves to have a song about him. And he told me the story, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I was like, yeah. So but all those things, all the songs are, it's just, I don't know, they're kind of cathartic in a way to sing about those. It's like I say, to get them out instead of having them pent up.
Yeah.
But then again, you need something to balance it, because you really can't just have that all the time. And that's what we kind of did during that time. We lived in that life, and you get what you give, and we got what we gave. We were in that scene, in that life, and fuck, half of us are dead.
Yeah. I felt like the one I always felt like the one ray of hope on that record was just to get away.
Yeah.
Like there was just something, and it's kind of a timeless rock and roll subject, like getting away, getting out of your shithole town, or just getting away from Born to Run or whatever you want to do. To me, it was like the punk rock Born to Run, like grab my girl, she's 16, can't slow down, I gotta do, just the whole, the car references, and the it was just so well done. It's such a it's a perfect song, like it's a perfect song. And
my friends,
where did what was that, where did all that come from?
My friends in New York, they're in this band called Big Stick, and they had this record called Drag Racing. They're all really into drag racing. They changed their name to Drag Racing Underground because they're really into cars. And I was staying at their house, and they said to me, they go, why don't you write a song about cars? They go, that's the American, dream, cars, girls. You need to write a song like that. And I thought about that. I thought about Born to Run. I thought about those songs, about just, the song kind of wrote itself. It's just like, just like, I quit my job. Fuck you. I grabbed my girl. I grabbed a gun.
Got my gun. I gripped the booze. I
jumped in my car, and I just left, and I just forget it. It's like
2 tons of steel. Yeah.
Yeah, just took off. And it's like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know where I've been. It's like, I'm getting out of here and just rolling. It's like, and that's so they kind of told me, they said, why don't you do this? Why don't you? And I was like, well, it's been done a bunch of times before, but let me, and that's exactly what it is. It's the punk rock Born to Run.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fucking great song. Like, it's a really, there's something, I think that's a song that, I do an intro and on these things, and I play some of the songs that, the band does. And for sure I'll play that song, because I just think that's actually your number one song on Spotify. I don't know if you know that, but that song's the number one song.
Cool. you know what? I've heard people like other bands try to cover that song before, and other bands can cover pretty much any of our songs and do really good jobs, like add their own touch to it and make them like, you know, like Alan's on Fire. I think Machine Head sounds with your own spin. It sounds great. It sounds almost better, I think.
Thank you, man.
The Badge, Pantera does a completely different weird thing, and I was like, wow, that's very interesting. That sounds kind of cool. I never thought about doing it like that before. And it sounds to me, it sounds better. But Just to Get Away, no bands can ever really get that drum at the beginning because it almost sounds like a car just going like just taking off. You know, it just sounds like that, just doing wheelies, you know. And no one can really do that yet. I'm sure I know there's drummers out there that are just as good, but it's just a matter of somebody doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you remember from? Did you guys tour behind that record?
You know what? We went to the East Coast right before it was getting made. We came back, and about 2 months later, we started recording it, and we had like some of the songs down. But when it dropped, when it came out, that's when we started going to England and Europe for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's like
that was the first time, huh?
Yeah, first time we went to Europe. Yeah, right after that record came out. So we were around for, you know, over 10 years before we went over there.
Yeah. Good experiences over there?
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
Always. But like I said, you know, just like some of these towns we go to, they'd be waiting for us for a couple weeks to have these festivities and these parties, and they were saving up all their, you know, their celebrations and their fireworks, and we would go there and blow it off. But the next day we had to do it again. We had to do it again. You know, and I would come back, and besides the normal elements from being cut up and getting stitched up in the hospital and stuff, I would just like, they're like, your blood pressure's through the fucking roof. They're like, what's going on? They're like, you know, they're, you know, like, something's wrong with you. They're trying to get me dialed in because I'd be on, like, you know, tubes and machines and stuff. And they're like going, well, how much do you drink? You know, do you drink? I was like, sure, I drink. They're like, how much? And I'm like, a night, a day? And I'm like, well, I have these drinks. I drink like, I don't know, like, how many shots are in a fifth? So like 28. It's like I do like 56 shots.
Oh, fuck.
You know? And they're like a week. And I go, like, a day. They go, you drink like 2/5 a day? Like, I go, well, almost. You know, like a fifth of vodka and a fifth of this, like, every day. And they're like, every day. And I was like, yeah. They're like, well, how long? 2 months during the road? And they're like, well, you're going through withdrawal. You're going through alcohol withdrawal because you're drink every day. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense, you know. And so I just knew that, we would, yeah. So
and then you got to do something to keep you up and get you back up.
Exactly. And that's kind of, how we fell apart too towards the end.
Are you doing dope too in this time?
Yeah.
Wow. So and the booze. That's a fucking lot.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing dope every day?
No,
Yeah.
because like, by the time we went over there for the last tour, we were doing it every day. But so we would either sneak over as much as we could, or we'd land and we would try to get as much for every show every day. And then we would drink and do speed and stuff. But, that always didn't work because people are, kind of greedy. And they were, so yeah, it just, and like I say, just like, I feel like ripping people off is when that becomes a priority. And it should be playing music, doing your music, and then doing this second. But when it becomes first getting high every day, getting loaded every day, and then we can play music secondary, that's when it starts to suck, because you're not putting your heart into what the first thing, which is music, which got you there in the first place. You're a junkie playing rock and roll instead of a rock and roll guy getting fucked up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, live and learn, right?
Right. Yeah. And somewhere not soon after that, Pig decides he just can't tour anymore and doesn't want to tour. And right.
Yeah, that's why, because it was, it was when you've got a huge habit going on and you have to go to some places you got to go to whatever town in fucking France or wherever and get methadone just to get you over till the next, till you're in some city you can buy drugs. It's like I say, the whole reason you're there, just it sucks.
Yeah.
Just yeah. So, you got your connections at home and stuff and just want to live there and just
Would you sober up when you got home? Do you have a girlfriend at this time? Like, are you like just
yeah, yeah.
single and ready to mingle, or are you? What's your?
Everybody had girlfriends pretty much.
Yeah,
But, that would whatever the chaos of life of that would fucking go crazy too.
yeah,
So yeah, it's like Tom wanted to come back and just like I say, live next to his drug dealers.
yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, a lot of time when bands get off the road, they kind of fuck. I need to, you know, it's so easy to do. It's just everywhere. It's like I'm not going to go into my experiences because this is your podcast, but like I know what you're saying. Like it's just fucking everywhere, all day, every day, and you get home and it's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking clean up for a minute here.
No, you get home and you're like, finally, I can finally get that big piece of drugs I've been waiting for.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Good stuff.
stay high for a month after this.
Oh fuck! Holy shit! Yeah. Wow. Yeah, man. It's amazing you're here to tell this story.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, it's just the decisions. I just, like I said, I decided to go out on a good note, and then my life just took. I was just like, wow, something else happened, and just like, and then other opportunities pop up, and just like, oh, you know what? I dig playing music. Still like doing this. I like, doing all sorts of crazy stuff now. I'm like we're cooking, gardening, painting, playing music, back to, just it's like I say, every day if you do something that you've never done before and it kind of blows your mind, it makes it worth living, makes it worth getting up and
Yeah.
riding a bike. Whoever thought,
Right.
you know?
I gotta say, I was pretty impressed with. I don't know. Impress isn't the right word, but the legacy that your band has left. When Tom died, he got somebody gave him a write up in New York Times.
Yeah.
Like an obituary, like not just an obituary, but like a full on like article.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's fucking incredible. Like I don't know if he would have seen that coming.
No, no. And that's the thing that that I'm happy to be around to see whatever's coming out, because I always said that whenever a new band would come out or a new movie or whatever, a new ride at Disneyland, whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? Tom would really like seeing that. He would like to be around to see that. He would like to hear that, he'd like to hear that new band. That's something, he liked contemporary stuff that would keep coming out. He would be like, this is really good. This new stuff's really good. You should check this out. And then when I hear something now that's really good and new, I'm like, he's kind of missing out, kind of sucks. I wish he was here to hear this. So
Kurt Cobain famously had a "Feel the Darkness" flyer on his acoustic guitar case.
actually, that was my guitar. I lent him for one show, and now I want that guitar back.
Oh yeah, is that what that was?
No, I saw that. That thing got auctioned for a big piece of change too.
I bet I saw that got auctioned. I didn't know what it went for, but yeah.
Yeah, that was his Martin, right? Was it a Martin guitar?
I don't know. I guess it was one of the things that he played at the Unplugged.
The MTV thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a
You guys did you do a split with them or something? Maybe it was like a covers album with them or something.
Yeah. This
Did you guys ever cross paths? I mean, you guys both from the Pacific Northwest, and
you know what? We played with them once. We played with them when they came here and they were like already did Nevermind. They were big and they asked for us to open for them.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that, you know what? And the Machine already like was engulfing Kurt at that time. And he was really cool. He came back to our dressing room with some bottles of Jack Daniels. Like, they give this to me on my rider. I don't drink it. I know you guys will hear it. And so we're like, thanks, And so everybody was, and that's when we were kind of deep in our stuff too, But we didn't care. We weren't like Nirvana. They kind of had to go in the bathroom or whatever. And we're just all sitting out. Everybody's just doing it right in front of everybody, And we're like, hey, you want something like that? And he kind of looked at us like this, and he looked up and looked around at every single eye looking at him. And he was just like, no, thanks. We're just like, oh, okay, we're for us. Sorry,
Holy shit.
So I felt sorry for him in that case. In a sense, it's like he should have just been like, I'll do what I want, It's like, but he couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I never heard that story. Did you guys cry? I mean, I don't know what you thought of like the grunge, like Soundgarden or Mudhoney or any of that kind of stuff that came out of Seattle. Like, well, I would call true grunge, I guess, like.
Well, like I say, with if music's good, it's good, and it doesn't matter what it is. I didn't always like Soundgarden, but even when they got really polished, and I was like, this is a really professional band that writes really good professional songs that will last forever. Mudhoney I always liked. I thought they were one of those bands that always had humor into the music, and they're real, they're honest, they're good. Some of the stuff in Seattle that was coming out, the grunge thing, just because you threw a fucking tag on it, grunge,
right,
didn't make it good, but some stuff like those bands, and a lot of the shit that fell in with that too, whatever you would call it, some of the weird bands just wearing like flannel shirts around their waists. If the music's good, I like it. I don't care what it is. I'll like it. But some of the stuff wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah. Interesting. I was just curious, because I've not that many bands from the Northwest, so I just wonder if who crosses paths. Yeah. But an incredible legacy, man. Like,
thanks,
a really
Rob.
Amazing legacy. Something you should be proud of till the day you die. Some fantastic songs and a legendary punk rock band, and this was awesome having you on here.
Yeah, and you know what? We're both still here. We have our whole lives before us. So much stuff to happen. So much stuff to come.
I'm super happy that you're doing so well too, man. You seem like you're in a really, really good headspace.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a daily, hustle. It is. But you know what? You should. I want to do one of these podcasts one of these days, and you need to come on mine.
Okay. All right. Deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Rob, let me ask you something. You take this and you edit it, right?
Nope. It's called No Fucking Regrets. No fucking regrets. It's all just, this is it.
Oh shit. No, I'm just kidding. I just tease it.
Yeah. No, I do an intro and then that's it. So
cool. Well, you know what? I wouldn't say anything if I didn't, tell the truth. It's all the truth. So
when's your book dropping? Why don't you plug your book?
Oops. Shit. You still there? This is my book. This is on Rare Bird Books.
Rare Bird Press.
Yeah, it's called Black Heart Fades Blue, and we're taking advanced orders for it now, and it's supposed to be out December.
Killer.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. I hope it's interesting. If you like the music, you'll love the book.
Yeah.
No, it's
I don't even think you have to like the music. You got a crazy story. You just like the book.
Yeah, well, there's a couple books that were always my favorite when I was a kid. One was called "You Can't Win" by this guy from Jack Black. It was a book that inspired Burroughs to write.
Okay.
And it's kind of like that in a way. It's kind of like a modern day "You Can't Win" because this guy's kind of like doing the same things. It's like it's a interesting read, and you can't put it down.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has your email is Bukowski, right? Or whatever.
Bukowski, yeah.
Yeah. Probably a little bit of that in there too, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I got that email years ago because I was I like Bukowski a lot. I wasn't writing when I took that up. I didn't think I would be writing a book.
Right.
So it's crazy how it's crazy how the story writes itself, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome where life will take you, right?
Indeed,
Yeah,
it is. And looking forward to the next chapters.
Awesome. Awesome, brother. Well, thanks for being on here.
Of course, Rob. Bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the mighty Jerry A. Poison Idea. No fucking regrets.
No fucking regrets!
With Robb Flynn.